Hey, what's up everyone? Hope you're all having a wonderful time. Here we have a more in-depth guide of the Bear Bleed Beastmaster in last Epoch. I recently made a quick guide on the build where I cover all the most important parts of the build. I did however miss to mention one thing about the idols, but I do get into that later in the video, so do stick around for that. But if you may be new to the game or is wondering about something specific, this will be the guide for you, so lean back, relax and enjoy. Let's start by going over what the build really is. So the Bear Bleed Beastmaster is a tanky and a very simple build to play that focuses on the summon bear skill to retaliate thorn burst that will deal physical damage and bleed damage over time. We simply want our bear to take as much damage as possible to get higher bleed stacks on our enemies. And we also got some great defenses on this build. The bear skill itself is also a taunt, so when we are using it, it makes the enemies target the bear instead of us. By also using a Thirst Blessing, we'll then boost the damage of our bear with quite a bit, and it will also heal it while also healing ourselves at the same time. The Primalist class got also quite a bit of damage reduction and quite a bit of endurance, which will help out a lot for the end game. Let's go over the stats and items for this build. There are no required uniques for this build to work, but it is one that will help boost the damage by quite a bit. And this is the doublet of Honest Toll, which is a great addition for this build. It provides a huge chunk of health for our defense, but most importantly we get the increased bleed duration for our minions. And this makes our bleeds last longer, doubling our DPS pretty much by just that. And this is quite a common chest to drop, but if you are unlucky you can try and target farm it at the timeline Blood, Frost and Death by having the unique or said body armor echoes. And for the other stats, for the weapon here, the only stat you really want to go for is going to be the increased minion physical damage. Here you could go for another base for the weapon, something like with increased minion damage for instance. For the offhand here, this is a great base for this build with increased minion damage and also increased minion health. And here you could go for increased minion damage and also minion health. For the helm, you want to go for this one for the increased minion physical damage. And here you go for the class stats, 1+ to summon bear, and you can also go for increased bleed duration for minions here as well. For the rest of the gear, you basically want to go for minion damage and health on as much as you can, and other than that go for increased health, elemental resist, just flat health helps as well, and other resist also obviously, and yeah, try to get capped, try to go for everything like that. Endurance help a bit as well. And for the idol, I did make a mistake in the quick video guide, and the short version is that it's a type arrow in the loot filter in the game, but I will explain here what happened. So basically for idols you want to go and get the increased bleed duration for minions like this one. However, if you go to the loot filter and if you check here on the class specific idols, let's see, yeah, I was in there, and if you type bleed, nothing will come up as this one. But these stats on this idol is actually the last one here, but as you can see here on the idols it clearly says melee bleed duration, and this would not be able to afflict for our bleeds because of the melee, and so yeah, it's a big difference if it says melee or not. But these idols with just the increased bleed duration is actually boosting the bleeds from the thorn burst that we get from our bear. So yeah, try to go for these idols here, and it's just a typo wrong in the loot filter, and I was just assumed that it removed the mod. That's why I didn't mention it in the quick guide. Other than that, you could go for increased aspect of the board duration, set with defense. For damage, you can go for minion damage over time. You could go for minion physical damage, health as well. But other than that, vitality helps. For defense, just some resist, flat health, percentage health, resist. Yeah, I think you get the idea. For the skills, let's start with Summoning Bear, which is the main damage dealer for this build. Here we want to go for 1 point here in Thick Hide, so we can get to Retaliating Thorns. which will retaliate Thorn Burst when the bear takes 75 damage. So this is why you want to the bear to take as much damage as possible, so it will use the Thorn Burst as often as you can for more bleed stacks. Next we went for 4 points in Tearing Thorns for the bleed chance, and then we want 4 points in Winged Thorn for Thorn Burst speed and also the range. 1 point in Forceful Swipe, and this will make it so the bear can use the ability Swipe, and we will also get all the skill abilities from the skill as well, which we'll go over in just a sec. 3 points in Rapid Swipe, so it has a shorter cooldown. We have 5 points in Lacerating Claws for increased damage and also the bleed chance there. 1 point in Wounded Prey will boost the movement speed and also the melee damage here by stacks of bleed on the target. So this will just help a little bit for the single target here on the bosses, for instance. Lastly, we have 1 extra point in Jerson Domain, and this is so when we use the Taunt, the bear ability, it just have a little bit extra area of effect. So as I mentioned, Swipe is another one that we are using, and this is going to our bear. And here we have 5 points, so we can get Aspect of the Panther, or more specific, so the bear get Aspect of the Panther for 5 stacks. This will increase the global damage by 5% per stack. We have 1 point here for global attack speed and cost speed, and 2 points here in Lion Strength for 2 additional maximum Aspect of the Panther stacks. 2 points in Blood Beast, and 4 points in Rending, so we get some shred physical resistance here on once the bear uses Swipe. Right, this will boost damage by our bleeds. 2 points, 2 points, and lastly 2 points in Culling here for the kill threshold, and this works so when the enemies are at 40% health, it will just one-shot the boss or the enemies. This helps out in the end game for bosses, for instance, with a high amount of life. Next up, we are using Summoning Frenzy Totem here, and here you want to go for Revity first, 2 points in Visceral Frenzy and 1 in Furious Cry. Furious Cry makes it so when we summon the Frenzy Totem, our bear ability will then reset, and we can use it for taunting more often. So great thing here, just so we can taunt more often. Enemy target bear will retaliate and do just more damage. 3 points in Reviving Totems here, 3 points in Symbol of Hate for the haste buff here. 1 point in Symbol of Selflessness, and this makes it so the buff effect gets stronger and it can only affect our companions, so this will boost the bear. And we have 3 points in Warding Totem for physical resistance and elemental resistance. 2 points in Reinforcing Totem for some longer duration, and lastly 2 points here in Reach for a bigger area. We're using Eterra's Blessing here, and this will boost the damage by 100% and also heal once we use this on our bear. 3 points in Conservatory and 4 points here in Savage Blood, and this will boost the global increased physical damage by 100%, boosting our bleed damage by even more. We have 4 points here in Impressive Blessing and also 1 point here, and this makes it so the blessing heals half of its value immediately and also half of its value over 4 seconds. 1 point in Regrowth is so when the heal expires, it will heal you again for the half duration. We have 5 points in here for increased minion physical damage, increased minion attack speed and cast speed. Lastly, 2 points here in Binding Heal, and this makes it so when we use the blessing on the bear, it will also cast on ourselves for a portion of its base heal, so we get some just healing here on ourselves at the same time. Lastly, we have Fury Leap. Lastly, we have the Fury Leap skill for mobility, and we want to take 4 points in Crater for the reduced mana cost, 1 point in Hero's Protection so we get immunity while we are leaping, 4 points here in Panther Strike for the cooldown recovery speed, 3 points 1 point in gravity, so we pull the enemies once we leap. It helps a little bit for our bear to summon all the enemies, right? And 2 points in Warrior's Entrance, nothing special there. Frenzy Onslaught, however, gain our bear and also have the Frenzy buff, increasing attack, cast speed, nice stuff. 3 points in Winged of Endurance here, so we can get some heal while we are using our leap. And also Battling Bloom is so when you land, you cleanse all elements on you and your minions. Yeah, some great defense by using these. For the passives, here from the Primalist base class, you can start by going 6 points in Gift of the Wildness for the increased base health, and also for our minions there, the percentage health. We have Natural Attunement for the attunement and lightning and cold resistance. 5 points here in Hunter Restoration for the increased health percentage and also a health restoration every 3 seconds. 1 point in Hunter Emanations, and this will make it so the buff from the heal also affects our minions. Moving on to the Beastmaster, which is also the mastered class for this build. We got 8 points here in Earthsign Strength for the strength, and damage taken from nearby enemies is reduced by 16%. Great for defense. We have 5 points here in Boar Heart for the aspect of the Boar buff, which also reduce our damage taken by another 15% here. Then we also have 1 point in Archon's Loyalist, and this makes it so we can only have 1 companion, but we only need a bear for this build, and the bear will deal 85% more damage by using this node. 3 points in Call of the Pact for increased health and companion health, and then we have 5 points here in Porcini Constitution to boost the aspect of the Boar buff here, and this will increase the damage reduction by another 15%. Huge stuff there. 5 points in Boar's Heart for additional strength, and also we get the chance to get the aspect of the Boar on melee hit. We have 8 points in Life of the Wilderness for Vitality Endurance Threshold, and we also get the Endurance applying to our companions as well. You should be able to get for this Natural Bond, which is also the last point that we need, and this will just boost the companion health by 75% and also more damage by 75% as well. I have a couple of points here, as you can see, and this is just going to be the last points that I'm using right now. But once you do get this point, I would recommend you go over to the Druid here, and here you want to go for 7 points in Canonic Plating for the endurance and armor, and we get some bonus there to our minions as well. We have 4 points in Spirit Warden for health and mana. But here you want to put 1 point in Blessed Spring and then 8 points in Blossom Garden, and this is going to be for the bonus here, 8-point bonus, which makes so while we are directly using a spell or a movement skill, we cast Eterra's Blessing on a nearby minion or other ally, prioritizing party members on low health. This got 12-second cooldown though, but this makes it so we just passively use the Ethereal Blessing once we are leaping around and stuff like that, boosting our bear. So it's just great for that. We also have 5 points here in Totemic Restoration, and this is making it so we have a chance to summon a healing totem when we are hit. So this just helps out with the defense overall. Once that's done, let's go to Shaman, and here we want to take 8 points in Shamanic Infusions for the attunements and also for the penetration. And the penetration here also applies to our minions as well, so more bleed damage from this. And as I mentioned before, I just continued with over here with Avian Shelter for the increased endurance threshold. We got some physical resist here as well, and also for our minions. So there we go, this was the Bear Bleed Beastmaster, a little bit more in-depth guide. I hope this will clear out a thing or two from the quick guide. For more information about the build, you can go to Last Epoch Build Planner. I will put a link in the description. If you got any other questions, feel free to drop it in the comments below, and also feel free to tell me if you tried the Bear Bleed before or another version of it. I'd love to hear it, what do you think about it. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!